what they've done is monstrous, absolutely. But actually, you know, if you saw Rose West, and I looked after Rose West for 4 or 5 months while she was waiting her trial at Winchester Crown, she was at Holloway, down the SEG unit, separated from the general population for obvious reasons. We used to think that she was like your auntie, that you go and see on a Sunday, who plumped the cushions up when you stood up, that sort of person. She used to knit a lot. She was yes, no, thank you, please, not a problem to manage. These people don't have monster tattooed on their foreheads. It's the mainstream media that projects them as that. And, anybody that I've ever talked to who has dealt with the likes of Dennis Nielsen, the Yorkshire Ripper, Hindley, whatever, they're usually fairly compliant. They usually are no problem at all because they've been caught. I only met Myra Hindley briefly. I only met her I was doing a transfer of prisoners with 2 other officers. We were taking half a dozen prisoners from Holloway down to Cookham Wood, and Myra worked in the reception area of Cookham Wood. And I didn't know that. I mean, I'd only been in the job maybe a year, maybe a bit less. So I was the most junior officer there. And obviously the junior officer gets the shit job. So I was at the back of the van, right on the wheel hub. So you feel every single bump. But as is customary, when you go to another jail, you're offered a cup of tea or whatever. And they offered me, the senior officer, reception officer offered us a drink. Would you like a drink? We all said yes. Out sort of come shuffling this little old lady. That's all I can describe her as. She had short brown mousy hair. She had an old brown cardigan on with the elbows bare and a denim skirt, and we used to call them jellies. They were made of plastic shoes. She come shuffling out, asked every single one of us what we wanted, and then went off. And the officer next to me, who was obviously senior to me, said to me, "You know who that was, don't you?" And I went, "No." And she said, "Well, that was Myra Hindley." It's like, yeah, right. Because when I say Myra Hindley, what do you think of? The blonde, the piercing eyes, the evil personified. You wouldn't have known her if you'd have walked past her in the street. And she came back with her 3 mugs of tea and asked us if there was anything else, and off she went. I had no idea who she was, no idea. And obviously, the hairs of the back of your neck stand up a bit because the story of the dreadful story of the Moors murder. And I had a friend who came from Saddleworth, and she'll tell you even to this day, that runs very deep. What happened, and the fact that they've still not found all the children's bodies. I was at Wakefield Prison. I was going and having a look around there. Now, Wakefield Prison is known as Monster Mansion because it held the likes of Colin Ireland, Dennis Nielsen, the Yorkshire Ripper, the Black Panther, all of these like really serious serial killers. And I actually felt at one time that I loved Wakefield anyways. My nan was from Wakefield, and that I wanted to transfer up to Wakefield. So a friend of mine's father worked at Wakefield, and I asked her to ask him if he'd show me around, and he showed me around Wakefield Prison. And we were in the canteen, and I turned, sort of backed up one, and I literally bumped into somebody, and I said, "Oh, so." And then I just kept going up and up and up like that. And then there was this just 6'6" by 6'6" wide guy with these pink eyes, literally pink eyes. And I said to the guy that was taking me around, I said, "I've seen that face." And he went, "That's Colin Ireland." And I mean, he was a foreboding presence purely by his size. This one prisoner who we always thought had a very strange relationship with his mother, because like he would kiss his mother on the lips when she'd come to visit him, and she was very, what I would call, foreboding. You know, it was all about him.